I'm talking with Sunny LeBourdais, who is the Director of Operations for Quilmita Squatmunk. Hi, Sunny.
Hi, Barry. White Up. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you very much for spending a little bit of time with us today to talk about cumulative effects and respecting and integrating ancestral knowledge and how those two things are coming together as we lead up to the CE Analytic Cumulative Effects Conference in February. Um, Sunny, ancestral knowledge to me means that, this is something that has been developed or acquired or both in the past. And I'm wondering, we often talk about in cumulative effects, sort of learning from the past in order to help us guide our future. So, do you have maybe have some thoughts or some examples of how lessons in our ancestral knowledge, your culture's ancestral knowledge, are going to be very powerful as we try to find solutions moving into the future?
So, to me, when I think about what is a respectful way to really recognize ancestral knowledge, it really is about starting in the distant past and working our way through time. And I think that's really where we draw a number of similar lines and values when it comes to cumulative effects. We look at when you're looking at integrating the whole concept of 7 generations, for example, and you want to respect ancestral knowledge, it really does mean turning yourself to those lessons that for the most part were historically really captured in oral histories or oral tellings. And for us, that would be the stepdech, or those ancestral histories that were basically seemed to be of such importance that they really recorded them into tellings and either marked them on the land or marked them in time and passed them
Mm.
through generation after generation. So when we look at that ancestral knowledge and we want to integrate it in how we're seeing effects either in the future or the effects that we currently are experiencing, it takes a really cognizant and purposeful approach to either impact assessment or to any sort of decision-making processes that you're undertaking in order to ensure that you're really recognizing and respecting that knowledge in a way that honors how, where, and when it got here.
It's really, you explained that really clearly. And I think we often hear about, say, traditional knowledge or ancestral knowledge and Western science, and often there are discussions about how they are different. But I think that there are also similarities and really ways that we can integrate those two knowledge sets together to become a little bit sharper and smarter. Um, what tips might you give people who are trying to draw upon that ancestral knowledge and integrate it, say, with Western science?
I know that in the past, one of the principles or tests that we've really utilized whenever designing any sort of the SSN's assessment process, for example, or the Secwepemc Nation Building Initiative, is to really adopt a principle of what we call walking on two legs. So being just really aware, again, that we have both Western ways of knowing and understanding the world, and then we have very traditional and ancestral ways and Secwepemc ways of knowing and understanding the world. And when you look at that, you can see that essentially when both of those are working together in a synchronous and respectful way, you can move forward a lot faster. If you think about walking, I always joke that
Yeah,
there's
that
this
makes sense.
really huge emphasis right now on Western science and the whole Western way of understanding the world, which has really built that leg up, and that leg's kind of huge and
Right.
out of balance, and there's been a real lack of emphasis and valuation on the other more ancestral, traditional, indigenous ways of knowing the world. And because of that, maybe we're walking in circles.
Wow,
So
that's a really powerful metaphor. I like that.
Yeah. So, and so I think, like when we were looking at different approaches, we were just always really cognizant. So, for example, if you're looking at the presentation or collecting information, collecting knowledge, you want to ensure that you collect it and respect it in both oral and written formats. So, Western
Mm.
society has a very big prevalence on communicating information in a written format, whereas Indigenous knowledge typically really lives inside of not only individuals, but also in a very oral format. You look at that dichotomy again when it comes to the prevalence of English in a lot of these communications versus Secwepemctsín or another Indigenous language. And it's by really kind of cognizantly looking at your experiences that you have indoors and out of doors, connected to the land and disconnected to the land, that really allow you to integrate those in a really purposeful manner.